Yeah.
All right, welcome folks who are joining. We'll get started here in a moment as everybody is joining in.
Nice. Oh, let me get this out of the way. Oh, sorry.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Just give it another minute.
Hello, hello.
All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us today and welcome to BPOC's Dreaming of a New Collections Management System webinar series. As many of you already know, I'm Alex Kron. I'm BPOC's Digital Operations and Collections Information Analyst. If you're joining us for the first time, BPOC is a nonprofit technology and strategy consultancy based out of San Diego, California. We work with a variety of arts and culture organizations. We originally started this webinar series to talk about collections management challenges, what an ideal system should do, and finding the right solution for your organization's needs. Today we have Christa and Jason from Objects in Order. They're here to talk about their Moon object system that they launched in 2022. You can read more about Objects in Order and Christa and Jason on the Zoom registration page and their website. Before I go ahead and turn it over to Jason and Christa, I want to mention that we will have time for Q&A at the end. So please be sure that you put any questions that you have in the Q&A section. Feel free to comment, participate in the discussion, or even leave questions in the comment section if need be. Now please welcome Christa and Jason. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you
Hi,
so
everyone.
much, Alex. Hi, everyone. Thank you again to the BPOC for inviting us today. And Jason and I are really excited for the opportunity to contribute to this fantastic series. Thanks for everyone's time this morning or this afternoon. We really appreciate you being here. So each one of us opens up applications multiple times a day. But I think it's pretty rare to actually stop and think about how we feel when we do it. How are you feeling when you double click or when you get to that first screen? Are you energized? Are you reluctant? Are you full of dread? So personally, I always feel pretty overwhelmed when I am using image editing software. I know what I want to do. I think I can do it. But as soon as I get in there, I'm confronted by a bazillion icons and all kinds of drop downs. And I realize right away I don't know what I'm doing. And I can never remember where anything is. And I get frustrated.
Yeah.
Or on a more positive note, after settling in with a cup of coffee and making sure that my space is in order, I usually feel a sense of anticipation when I open up Zoom, especially today. And if you're like me, there are probably a few apps that you hate opening. You know that what you have to do is going to take forever and that the system is painfully clunky and slow, and it can never do what you wish it could. So the good news is that there are also some applications that do make you feel engaged and inspired and excited about what's possible. So let's begin. All right, the BPOC's multi-year deep dive into the state of CMS technology provided so much insight into experiences with collections management systems and from so many different professional perspectives. And Jason and I recently went back and we watched the first couple of webinar episodes. And if you haven't seen them yet, they're on YouTube, so check them out. And so much of the language that the presenters used about CMSs is really revealing. So you hear phrases like 1990s technology and outdated systems and never really excited about using it. And words like difficult, struggle, and constrained. So we should expect more. Dreaming of a new CMS made it crystal clear that people want to do more with these collection systems, and that these systems should be able to do more, and then it's okay to expect more from them. And then in the subsequent webinar episodes, the BPOC highlighted several CMSs that do offer users much better access to their data, that make it simple to enter information into standardized data fields, and that also help streamline the display of collection information online. And all that is terrific. There's one thing that came up several times during that first dreaming episode, and that's the importance of flexibility. And you're going to hear this word a lot today. So flexibility is the freedom to shape a system in order to create a space that works for you, for your team, for your organization, and for your objects. And it's the difference between a system that's constrained by data and one that can actually evolve with the needs and the contributions of the people that are actually using it. So in a perfect world, if we were dreaming up a new CMS, it would make sense to make it not just intuitive, but customizable, and not just user-friendly, but user-focused,
Right.
and not just functional, but incredibly flexible. So here's what Objects in Order believes. Systems have to be versatile. They have to flexibly adapt and expand, just like museums have to adapt and expand. And there is so much knowledge created around an object, data, research, content, media, and there should be a space for all of that. Yeah. And arts and culture organizations, whatever size they are, should not have to settle for old tech. So much more is possible. Now, I should mention that when we got started in 2022, we originally planned to build software to help museums create digital exhibitions. And as the foundation for that exhibitions platform, we both understood that we had to build a robust system for object data and media. And we were approaching things from a slightly different direction. We were not starting with how to catalog or how to inventory, right, but by first thinking about use cases for shaping and sharing information and content. So what we wanted to create was only going to be flexible, or it was only going to be possible with really flexible data structures. And as we were developing the system, we realized, hey, this is actually, pretty amazing. And so we decided to go all in on building our space for objects. So we did not set out to build a new CMS, meaning a traditional collections management system. What we started building was actually more like a content management system that's designed for people that work with, collect, and create objects, and for any type of object. And we also recognize that people want to do more than just manage collections, and that object knowledge includes so much more than just standard information in authoritative data fields. So we decided to call it an object system. But what does that actually mean? It challenges the idea of the collection as a monolith. Objects are not one size fits all, and it's okay if different objects have different cataloging needs. And it's a system for all the data, all the media, all the educational and interpretive content that comes along with objects, created across departments. And because objects are the building blocks of so many museum and archival projects, we believe that there should also be a place for organizing information and content. So we call our system the Moon Object System, and we chose the word moon because of the O and O in Objects in Order, but also because the moon is an object. It's a natural satellite with absolute order to its phases. The moon is familiar, but it also reminds us of possibilities, and it's constant, but our views of it are constantly changing. And we observe it through the clouds many times, which is pretty apt for a cloud-based web application. And lastly, fascination with the moon spans science, art, and technology. So we're really excited to demonstrate the Moon Object System today. But before we dive in, I think it's important to say that we do understand that even just thinking about new collection software can be overwhelming, especially when everyone is always so busy and juggling so many different projects. And so we want to make it very clear that it does not have to be a change everything all at once proposition. An organization can try the Moon Object System on a smaller scale, maybe for one departmental project, or to inventory a discrete group of objects, or to create a selection of digital object labels. We want to make it possible, and we also want to make it really easy for people to have a chance just to explore and try it for themselves. So our demos today are going to focus on 3 core elements that you can expect from the Moon Object System: flexibility, versatility, and composability. But first, I'm just going to start off by glossing a few of the words that you'll be hearing today. So the first is base. And a Moon base is the space for your objects. It can have one member or it can have multiple members. And each base can include up to 100,000 object records. Next is blueprints. So within a base, our users can create custom blueprints. And blueprints are composable forms that determine data structures for your objects. You create and customize the fields. For example, for a prints blueprint, you might add a field for printmaker. Next is modules. So you definitely want to be able to highlight your objects. And you can do that with modules. Those are customizable digital features that display the object content that you select. You just style the look and feel, and then you can publish and you can share your modules. And then lastly is our API. So this spring, we introduced the Moon Object System API, Application Programming Interface. And this lets you utilize base, object, and blueprint information. And you're actually going to see the API in action in just a few minutes. So as we get started thinking about flexibility, I just want to pose a few questions. How many different types of objects does your organization collect? Has the vocabulary around your objects evolved over time? What fields do you just skip over in your current legacy CMS? And is there information that you wish you could add, but there is just no place to put it? There's no space for it. So keep all those questions in mind, and let's go ahead and open up the Moon Object System. All right, so we're going to start off here, and we're going to see all of the bases that we have created or the bases of which we are a member. So you can also see it shows you how many objects you have, how many blueprints, how many modules, and how many members. We are going to spend our time today in the Museum of Object space. So let's head right in there. All right, it's going to start us on our objects page, and you can see we're here in the menu. Now, before we really dive in, I just want to mention that most of the images that you see today are open access and open content that are made available from museums all across the country. And we are always so grateful to be able to use these incredible, beautiful images of these collection works. All right, so when you get started, when you create a base, the first thing that you're going to do is work with your blueprints. So we're going to head over to blueprints in the menu. And blueprints are your form structures for your object types, for the projects that you're working on, for the groups of objects. So it's a chance for you to really structure the data that you want to collect.
Like a traditional schema.
Yes, data schemas. So here, if you have ceramics, drawings, paintings, photographs, whatever kind of objects you collect or you're creating, but the place to begin is going to be the core blueprint, and we're going to head in there. So the core blueprint is going to set your global fields for all of your other blueprints. And so these are going to be the things. if you have a collection of objects, you ask yourself, what fields am I going to need for every single object? Will my objects always come with a description? Will they always have dimensions? Will they always have an accession number? And so in your core blueprint, you're going to construct your form. You're going to build up those fields. And how do you actually add a field to a blueprint? It's really easy. You're just going to head over here to the left column, and we have different field types that you can choose from. Short text, long text. You can create custom selectable options. We have date field. We even have section headings so you can organize your information. But let's say that you are starting with your core and you only begin with your title field and you need a little help getting started. We do have preset fields here, and those are sort of standard museum fields like accession number, artist, creator, date. And so you can just add these and they'll help you get started right away. So let's go ahead and add a field to our core blueprint. So we're going to choose a long text field, and it's going to put it right here at the bottom of our blueprint. Now, what's so great about the system is that you are going to be able to double click, opens up our field editor, and then you're going to be able to name this field whatever you want. So using your terminology, your vocabulary, whatever you need for what you're working with. So you don't have to contact a software vendor or the IT department to change the name of a field. And then you can also select the type of field if you change your mind. And then you have some options of if you want to make information in that field required for all your objects, you could toggle this on. And then we do have a section for user data entry notes so that you can say use CA for circa so that you don't have to send people back to a style guide. The user notes are going to be right there for them.
Yeah.
It's really, really easy to just to structure your form the way that you want. And so you've built out your core, you're happy with it. Let's go back to our blueprint section.
Yeah, and just to be clear, everything that you set up in your core blueprint is inherited by all other blueprints. That's why they're kind of the core.
Exactly. All right, so let's see how easy it is to add a blueprint. So you would just give it a name, and then you're going to choose from 3 different categories. Is it an object type like a painting or paintings or ceramics? Is it a project like an exhibition or an inventory? Or is it a group like new acquisitions or works by women artists? So you can just set those up along the way. You can keep adding and keep building. Today we're going to look at our photographs blueprint. So I'm going to click in there. And you can already tell that there are more fields here than we saw in the core. Your core fields, though, are going to have a padlock. So we can see that those are coming in. And then we've also set up fields that a photography department might be interested in including, like additional photographer or negative date, photographic studio. And so you can just build the form fields that you need here. Yeah. So you can add fields for your organization's official metadata schema. You can add fields for open data collaborations, and you can add fields that support your day-to-day workflow. So down here, we've actually added a section header, and I'll just show you what that looks like. Oh,
It's behind the video.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so this gives you an option to collapse the fields below when we're entering object information, and we'll see this in action in just a second. So, so you build the form that works for you using the field names that work for you. But you may have noticed that some of these rows have 3 columns, some have 2 columns, some have a single column. One more really great thing about blueprints is that you can actually drag and drop the fields and the rows into the order that you want. So you can really shape this in the way that you want to enter your information. It's really easy, flexible, intuitive, and you are just getting it just how you like it. You can save it along the way. And then if you change your mind 2 weeks later, it's not a huge deal. You just go back to blueprints and you make the edits. So a really functional way to work with your schemas.
It's kind of an experience to build your forms.
Exactly. All right, so I'm going to go back, or actually, going to go back to our objects page. And then I'm going to go back to our presentation here. So blueprints are a lot of fun to create, and they are really powerful. And just FYI, I will mention that in your base settings, you do have the flexibility to toggle off blueprint permissions for your users that don't really need the ability to be able to add and update blueprints. So there may be just a core team that are working with the blueprints. All right, so you have set up your blueprints, all your fields are in order, and now it's time to highlight our second core element, which is versatility. And so we're going to look at how you can add, access, and update information and media, how you can import and export your object data, and how you can access base information via the API. So we're going to head back over to the Moon Object System. And I'm just going to start with a sort of top-level UI tour. We're in the object section, and we do have here a full text, full text search option. So you can just enter in whatever you need, and then it's not just searching your title fields, it's searching every field for your objects. We have a filter where you can filter by your blueprint. You can sort the information. And then I'm going to show you how easy it is to add an object. So you just give it a title, and then you're going to be selecting the primary blueprint, and then you just get started. And so we are going to do a quick search here for Moon. It's going to pull up 28 objects. And since we looked at the photographs blueprint, let's actually look at a photograph. So we're going to go into this object.
Very fitting.
Yes. All right, so the form fields that we're seeing here are actually generated by that photographs blueprint. And we've entered some information. You save it along the way, so we can scroll down here. And you can see that we are in the photographs blueprint. So because this is a photograph, the primary blueprint for this work is photographs. Because it's always going to be a photograph, but it might also be part of certain projects or certain groups. So you do have an option to change your primary blueprint. You probably won't need to do that very often, but you also can toggle on the check marks and associate your objects with groups or with projects. So this one we have included in our Over the Moon exhibition. And so I'm going to actually click this and show you the view for this. So you can see that this blueprint looks entirely different. This view looks entirely different than our photographs blueprint. And we're just going to be able, because we're using section headers here, we've nested the fields below. We can open them up and see the information. You can see here is one of those data entry notes at work. We have our display plans here. You can use your custom selectable options that you've entered in. And then we even did a section for Spanish translation so that we could translate some of the content in another format. So, so just a completely different view. We're going to go.
It's a really nice way to be able to expand your data without having to alter your object type.
Absolutely. All right, so let's say that you have entered data in a few different blueprints and you can't remember exactly which one it was and you're looking for one bit of information. You can always go down to the All Data section. This is for any object, and you can open it up and you can see all of the data that you've ever entered for an object across blueprints. It's alphabetical, so that just helps you find what you need very quickly. So you're entering data, it's easy to come back and save and make updates, but now it's time to take a look at how you input media into your object records. So here we see our primary image is our photograph here. We see a selection of files. You can have up to 50 files per object, and each file can be up to 50 megabytes. So here we've selected this as our primary image, but you can also always change that. You can add or you can drag your files or you can upload them directly. And let's go into our files page. So here we see we've got 2 JPEGs, an MP4, and a PDF. Again, you can upload or drag, and then you can see your file type and information here. You have another option to change the primary image if you need to. And then on this screen, you also have the option to delete a file. So when you go into a file, I'll show you what that looks like. So our system gives you the option to enter custom metadata or enter metadata for each of these files so that you can enter a caption, you can enter alt text, rights information, notes, and this is going to stay with your image file so that this caption is going to automatically generate when we use it. You also have the option to download the original or the image in its original size and format, or you can download a smaller size or a smaller image as a WebP file. All right, going to go back to our object. And then I will just show you one more thing on this page. So we're going to go over here to our actions menu. Just move our window. All right, so you can see that you can add it to a module, and we'll look at that in a second. You can download the object, you can download the JSON data for the object. You can create a PDF, and you can also delete an object. So we're actually going to create a PDF on the fly here. This is going to pull up all the fields for our photographs blueprint, and we can just toggle on the information that we are interested in capturing. So let's just grab a few of these here. And then you can actually drag and drop this information into the order that you want. And then you just generate and download. And Jason's going to open it up for us. So, so you have that information right there. Let's get back out. So I'm going to close this, and we are going to head back over to our objects page. I'm going to close our moon search here, and I'm going to unselect this one.
Yeah.
All right. So let's say you want to filter your objects by blueprints. So we're going to choose our Over the Moon exhibition blueprint here. It's going to pull up our 28 objects. And when we do that, on the right side here, you're going to notice two new icons that are going to pop up. The first lets you import up to 500 objects with a CSV. And then on the right, this icon lets you download your JSON data or a CSV file of all your object data for that blueprint. So we really want to make it as easy to get your information out as it is to get it into the system. So let's actually work with a group of objects here. Let's go over to our actions menu and let's select all on this page. And that's going to give us a few new options. First, I'll just show you, we're looking at a grid view here, and we're going to change it to our list view.
The listed grid view, yeah.
Yes. And then we also have the option to change the primary blueprint, add to module. We can create a mega PDF here. We can download the JSON data, and we can delete objects. I'll show you one more sort of neat function of the system, and that's if you do build a set of objects and maybe a couple colleagues are standing around your desk, you can actually preview your objects, and it's going to create a little custom slideshow that's going to pull in your captions so that you can look at everything right there. It's really easy. It's like a mini presentation viewer. All right, I'm going to close that out. And we're going to go to, sorry. Okay, now I would just want to show you our custom,
sorry, I refreshed.
I want to show you our custom query. So you can do a full text search, but you do also have the option of building a custom query if you're looking for a really select group of information and full text is returning too many results. So in your custom query, you can add up to 5 filters. You can search the fields that you created in your blueprints. You can use the operators and then enter the information, and then you're going to be able to find exactly what you need. So we've made it really, really easy. All right, so I think we want you to have a sense of how many ways you can work with your data, how many ways you can shape it and share it and download it and export it. But I'm going to turn it over to Jason now, who's going to tell you a little bit about our API.
Yeah, so for those who need more flexibility, we've introduced the Moon API. This read-only API allows developers to create custom solutions that extend the power of your data beyond the system. So like custom presentations, displays, websites, backups, or even internal tools and analytics. So essentially, the API lets you use your base as a headless CMS. So, and if you're not familiar with that term, it's basically headless CMS organizes content separately from how it's displayed, allowing the content to be used flexibly across different platforms and devices. So you edit your data here, and then you can use it everywhere. So we've set up a demo to showcase how we've integrated the API and how you can integrate it with your system as well. This Museum of Objects. So fake museum, semi-real site. The objects on our collection page, let me go in there. The objects, yeah, so the objects here are all coming directly from the Museum of Objects base that we showed you. So the API, we've got, we've simplified the display by just using a few of the blueprints, not all of the blueprints. It's not the entire collection. So it's kind of curated. And we've integrated full text search here as well. So to kind of enable some more exploration. And clicking an object, where's the moon? I'm going to find the moon. Oh, wait, let's crow in the moon. Oh, wait.
Yes.
Oh, here's crow in the moon. Anyway, so here's another one. So clicking an object opens it up in this sliding panel where we carefully kind of selected which fields we're going to show, and just to focus on specific information. And I mean, yeah. Oh, I didn't want to open that one. Let's open this one. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, I think it's hung. Anyway, that's the API. But if you're interested in using the API, you can please reach out to us. I would love to hear your use case for it.
All right, and I'm just going to make one more quick point about versatility. And let's say that your institution has a legacy collections management system, and it's going to stick with it forever and ever. Well, that's okay. You can still use the Moon object system for your projects.
Yeah.
And so this is great, especially for teams and departments that may not have or may not want access to the CMS. So the education department could plan a collection tour for seniors, or communications could organize a group of objects for a social media campaign. Conservators could create a group of works for evaluating light sensitivity, and a curatorial team could organize research for exhibition labels. So instead of having to share a spreadsheet with a million versions, teeny tiny thumbnails, JPEGs flying around everywhere, and captions just every which way, you can actually use a system that's designed for working with objects. And you can use the Moon object system for a month or for a few months. And then one of our favorite things about the system is that when you've added your objects to your base, you can use the Moon object system to create and publish digital content modules. And that takes us to our third core principle, which is composability. So composability is being able to select and structure and actually compose your object data, content, and media. And you've already seen how flexible and how composable blueprints are. Now we're going to take a look at modules,
Yeah.
And those open up so many possibilities for highlighting your objects. So we are going to head back to the Museum of Objects base. And we're going to keep working with our photograph here. So we're going to select it. And then we're going to go to our actions menu, and we are going to add this work to a module. So when you do that, you have a few options. You can add it to an existing module, or you can create a new one. We currently have two module types: featured object. So this is perfect for a collection highlight or a new acquisition. And then we also have a slideshow module where you can add up to 50 objects. So we're going to do a featured object here. And that's going to bring up our module builder. So I just want to give you a quick top-level UI tour. You can change the name of your module, and then you'll decide whether or not you want to use that title. It could be new acquisition, it could be Christa's favorite work, whatever you want to call your module. And then you can also scale your view here by using the dragger. You can toggle to show the mobile view. And I should mention that everything that we've looked at is responsive.
Mhm.
So you can access the system using your mobile device, using an iPad, whatever you're working with. And then you also see if it's a draft or a published module. And then we have our actions menu, which we'll look at in just a second. Oh, actually, I should turn this back to desktop.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go back over to the left column, just like with blueprints. And this is going to give you an opportunity to sort of build your module. So first, you're going to have access to all the field data that you've entered for this object.
Mhm.
And it's a matter of just toggling it on. And let's see here, we'll get the date, we'll get the credit line. And then you can actually drag and drop the information. It's going to reorder it here, or you can do that on this screen. This is the WYSIWYG.
Yes.
What you see is what you get builder. So it's really easy to just toggle on the information that you want to share, so you are in control. And then the same thing with your media files. So we have here our primary image, but let's say we want to share a detail, and let's say we want to share a video. So we can toggle that on. Again, you could drag and drop if you wanted to, and that actually creates a slideshow here. And then Jason's going to show us a little bit more about this viewer or about the player in just a second. So it's great. You can get your information in, get your media in, but now it's time to make it look good. So I'm going to click over to settings and turn it over to Jason.
Okay, so yeah, it wouldn't be very much fun if it was all static, right? So we've added some settings for you, so you can kind of build. So it's more of a creative tool in this sense. So you can edit the layout, the appearance, options, deployment, and we'll get into that in a second. But layout, you can change the proportions, and this is like aspect ratios, columns, change the gap automatically so you can see it when it works and when you update things. Change the padding all around it. You can set a minimum width. This is getting technical, but you can say, I don't want it to be larger than whatever. And then appearance, we can change the background. We'll just change this to like a gray, change this to white, and then we'll go down to our highlight color. We'll pick something kind of objects in ordery. And what that does is the highlight color ends up being like for links and UI elements across your modules. So now the slideshow works, but it also affects the content player, the media player. And by the way, you can scrub the player for audio and video just by clicking in the area, and you can double click. I'll just do this real quick. So it'll go full screen, and then you can also do that. But that's getting a little out in the weeds. But basically, you can do all of this, like just kind of really build it out and make it kind of match your look and feel. And then on top of this, the options, you can either show the title or hide your captions. And at the same time, we'll be adding different options across all of the modules. And one of the other things is we have a content editor or a field editor here too, right? So you can bring this up. Whoops, double click this. Any one of these fields that you've clicked, you can double click and you'll see that it highlights for that field. You can change the color just for that item. You can go and change the font. You can change the font size just for that item. You can change the line height, get it tight. Anyway, you can also change the padding. So if you wanted to kind of inset like a block quote or what have you. So you can do all of this. And then each one is separate. So I'm going to change this one or anyway, it doesn't look great, but it's a quick start, right?
All right, I'm going to close that. And so I mentioned earlier that I am a little bit afraid of image editing software. I will say that modules are really easy to use, even for me. Like I can play around with everything here. I'm going to delete this one.
Oh.
And then we're going to go to another screen. This is actually our modules page in our menu. And this shows you every module that you created in this particular base, whether they are draft or whether they've been published. And so we're going to take a look at Exhibition Highlight. And then we've also created a complimentary Spanish edition of this module. So we'll see that too. So let's go ahead. Oh, I should also mention that when you publish a module, it does come with a view counter, so you can see how many people have seen it. So we're going to go into exhibition highlights. And we've worked with this. We have styled the look and feel. We're happy with it. We've still got our great slideshow. We have a link here to the Museum of Objects.
It looks much better.
And we've actually published this module. And so when you publish a module, it gets its own objects in order URL. So it's a persistent URL. I'm going to move this over. And it's going to give you a responsive view of the live module. So again, you see your slideshow, and it's perfect for sharing a selection of objects with a colleague, or whatever you need to use it for. But it will be at an objects in order URL. And so I need to go back to. Close that.
Yeah, close that one.
And I go here. Okay. It's great that you can share it at a URL, but what if you want to put it on your own website? What if you want to, use it for your own purposes? So I'm going to turn it back over to Jason, and he's going to tell you about deployment.
Yeah. So what if you don't want it to be on that objects in order URL? And then how do you add it to your site? So under deployment, you can come down, and if it's a published module, you enter in the URL, basically just the domain of where you want to embed it. So if it's, whatever.com, google.com, it doesn't have to be the specific page, just as long as it's the domain. So that's a security asset where, it can't be embedded everywhere else. It's only at this location or on this URL or domain. But basically all you do is copy the embed code, and you can paste that into your regular HTML or inside of your current CMS or whatever's running your site, or you can hand it over to a developer who can then integrate that into your system. And on top of that, are you going to do that? You want to switch it out? Oh, there we go. Let me move this over. So we've actually embedded them on one of our pages here. So here's the Over the Moon. Make sure that's loading. So Over the Moon is pulling in the data from our base, right? So it's just a landing page for this exhibition. So you can see our object modules or our objects coming in. And then down here at the bottom, you can see that we've actually embedded that particular module. And we added a little toggle for Spanish so that you can just toggle back between them. So now you can switch between English and Spanish. So that could be happening with multiple languages and multiple modules.
Yeah, and modules are really great for digital object labels.
Yes.
So it just opens up a whole world of possibilities. All right, I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to move this over. All right, I just want to mention one more thing about modules, and especially published modules. So you got it like you want it, you embedded it on your site. What if 2 weeks later you, God forbid, notice a typo or somebody wants to change the color? That's okay. You can still keep working with this. So you and your team can make edits. You can save it along the way. And then when you are ready, you can republish it, publish the updates, and that would replace your module.
So basically what happens is when you publish a module, we gather all the assets that you've selected and all the fields you've selected and all your styles and layout, and we package them up and put them on our CDN. So they're kind of a standalone item at that point. They're not connected to the data. It's just, there it is. So as you make the changes here or make changes to your objects, then that data is updated when you're editing the module, but it's not actually pushed live. So when you're finally ready to make those updates, you can end up publishing your updates again, but that leaves it open so that you can still maneuver and kind of manipulate design and continue editing and tweaking until you're ready.
All right. All right. So today we highlighted the flexibility and versatility and composability that we built into every aspect of the Moon object system. Now, Objects in Order is a younger company, and that means that we are not built on a decades-old tech stack. We're agile, we're collaborative, we're open-minded, we are user-focused, both in terms of design and experience. We welcome insights and feature requests from our users, and we will keep making our systems better and better and better. And to return to the thought at the very beginning of our presentation, we always want you to look forward to opening our application. So I'm just going to hand it back over to Jason, who's going to tell you a little bit more about what's coming up.
All right. Let me pull this back over. So up next, AI explorations. I mean, everyone's really kind of working on AI right now, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but we are exploring the potential of natural language search and automation within a base. So natural language search would allow complex queries and discussions with AI to offer deeper insights about your object data. So imagine being able to ask something like, can you show me all objects by women artists with translated labels and video assets that are over 2 minutes long and they're cleared for use? Wait, I'm not done. On top of that, you could say, order them by title length and provide a brief description of each artist's background. So it's taking queries to the next level and just it really opens it up. But as you may know, AI tends to hallucinate a little bit. So we'll only introduce any AI features when they're secure and accurate and only with user consent. So it's not a baked in item for us right now. And we have new modules coming up. So not just the featured object module with a slideshow, but an objects viewer. So it's kind of like the featured object module with multiple objects, a timeline tool, a comparison tool, and a data points visualizer. So you could kind of put points on video or audio or even like markers or even on images to highlight texture or a signature or a color. And we plan on introducing password protection so you could share these privately outside of the system. And we're still working on what we started building in the first place. So it's a system to create digital exhibitions. You'll be able to design, customize, and launch exhibitions using your base objects and data. And if you're interested in participating in a beta, we would love to have you talk to us. Thank you.
All right. Well, that will bring us to the end of our presentation. We would love for you to visit objectsinordr.com and explore the Moon Object System, check out our roadmap and see what we're working on. You can start a free Objects in Order account, and that's going to give you access to our sandbox. And so that comes with 5 sample objects. You can play around with blueprints. You can enter in some object information. So it's not a full-fledged version, but it's something to just try and see what you think. But then when you're ready to add a couple of your own objects, you can actually create your own base and try it free for 7 days. You can add objects. You can work with blueprints. You can create modules, but you can't publish modules with a trial membership. But that gives you just a really good way to explore the system and see how it works. We've made it really easy to try. So please definitely reach out to us if you have any questions or if you just want to chat about data strategies. It would also be great to hear from you on LinkedIn or Museum Junction or Threads. And thank you all so much for your time today and for being here today. Thank you so much to Alex and to the BPOC. And we're really looking forward to hearing from you and getting some questions.
Thank you so much, Christa and Jason, for sharing with us the Moon Object System. I really love how you've approached the development of the system, is really listening to user needs. We often work with clients who are looking for a new collections management system and agree that even considering implementing a new system can be really daunting. So we offer a lot of support and guidance in that selection and implementation process. I especially love how much customization you guys offer for publishing collections on an organization's website. A complaint that we hear a lot from clients is that users are often confused by their collection page because it looks so different from their organization's website. So why don't we go ahead and take some questions? I know we're a little bit short on time. But we have a question, and I'm not sure if it was answered or not, but just in case they missed this answer, how many bases can be created in the system?
All right, you can have multiple bases. So Jason and I, we have a couple going for each of us. But a base can have up to 100,000 object records, and then you can have your different blueprints. So an organization could absolutely use one base, and then different departments could use blueprints. The way our system works is that you have a subscription to your base. So you can have as many bases as you want, but each one would be a
Right.
subscription.
Yeah, and that we're working on also kind of tying them together so they're related. So you could have multiple bases talk to each other. But that's later. I won't get into that right now.
But you can always start a trial base, and if you just want to sort of play around with
Yeah.
things and show it to colleagues, you can have you can have multiple trial bases.
Yeah,
too.
and I think there's just like a soft limit right now on 10 bases, which is quite a lot. But if you need more than that, we can up that for sure.
Great. So the next question we have is there an export option to create a report, and can you limit view access, for example, password protect?
Do you mean password protect for the report?
I think that's what they're meaning. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So right now the reports are like when we create the PDFs, that's your general report where you get to select the fields of your objects and output that in a PDF. So, but there is no current password protection. But if that's needed, then yeah, we'll build it.
Excellent. All right. So one more question. Is this wholly cloud-based, as in you host the system, or are they able to download the software?
Yes, so this is a cloud-based web application.
It's cloud-based. It's not downloadable, but I mean, object or module embeds are downloadable. So you could, in theory, download that data and content and host it locally. But the system itself is cloud-based, so Google Cloud platform. But yeah, so it's not hostable. Sorry.
Okay, and we got a couple more coming in.
Okay.
What is the limiting factor in terms of numbers? For example, base maximums is 100,000 objects. Bulk upload maximum is 500 objects.
Right. Correct.
Yes, and
Okay.
when you're uploading your CSV with 500 objects, it's going to be on a blueprint basis. So you're going to upload your paintings, you're going to upload your ceramics separately.
Yeah.
But currently 100,000 objects is the limit.
And the 500 limit's really just to kind of keep things more optimal, because when you start to upload more than that, it can slow down like heavily, not just because of our software, but just the infrastructure in general. Like more than 500 starts to go.
Yeah. And we can definitely help with, with creating CSVs and the upload and the migration process. The Moon Object System actually lets you download a template based on your blueprint field. So it automatically creates that CSV for you to enter in the information. So we tried to make it really easy.
So, and if anybody's a CSV is basically just comma separated values. So it's essentially just a spreadsheet. So, and I see this other question.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, feel free to just jump right in, guys. You don't need me.
Okay. All right, Catherine.
We need you.
Okay, yeah, we need the moderation. Okay, so can you describe the different levels of user permissions? Yes. So right now the user permissions are per member. It's not based on roles anymore. We did have roles earlier, but it was just kind of limiting. So the way we did it now is that you create a member and then you give them access to specific areas of the system. So if you need someone in objects or blueprints or systems or database
or modules,
or modules, you can give that individual access. And we do have more granular permissions on the way. It's just that was an easier way to kind of access level, like get people in. So like if they have access to blueprints, they have access to blueprints, right? So, but what if you didn't want them to be able to edit, but you still wanted them to see them? So that's what we're working on next.
Yeah, and it'll be just toggling on what you want for each user. And then if you change your mind, you can go back and keep making updates.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, we got another question in the chat. Is there information about your tech stack available?
Yeah, actually there is. Is it on the OSS or what?
Oh, we do have a list of open source software that we are incorporating and all that information. But tech stack wise, I think we should say that you work a lot with SvelteKit.
Okay, yeah. So the UI is based on SvelteKit, and it's a newer modern JavaScript stack, so it's really fast and optimized, and it goes through a process of kind of it compiles basically into vanilla JavaScript. So it's faster and lighter and more than like kind of front end that happens in the browser. I know that's a little in the weeds, but we're using SvelteKit for that. We're using Google Cloud and Firebase, and we have NoSQL database, which is this core structure, but we also use Postgres for some things. And then we also have a real-time database that's used for search. So most of the object data and everything is going through JSON data, so it's easier to kind of plow through that way. So it's not a traditional kind of SQL-based system, but we do have SQL type things going on in it too.
Yeah, and any links that Christa and Jason want to share, I'll also publish those when I publish the recording on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to access those there. We don't have any more questions from the audience, but we still have about 5 minutes left. So if you guys don't mind, I've got some questions for you.
Oh, definitely.
So, I mean, very clearly, you guys stand out from other collections management systems. Is there anything that you would really like to highlight or emphasize about what, sets you apart?
I think the fact that our system could be used to complement an existing system is one thing that's pretty special. So that if you do have a team that's working on an exhibition or on a project and the CMS that an organization uses doesn't really allow them to keep track of the information, you could use Moon for a couple months and get your data out and then, use it again for your next project. Also, blueprints and modules are really special. We can't wait to add more modules, and we're really excited about Exhibition Lab too.
Yeah, we're still hyped about Exhibition Lab. I think it's just like all these steps to get there. This is all kind of everything that's there. It's just kind of coming along. It's just kind of producing itself as we get to that point. So.
I love it. And I love your enthusiasm too. And this actually kind of transitions really well into my next question is, how have users benefited from your system?
Well, I think users really appreciate the flexibility. So I'm kind of a control freak. So I really like being able to go in. And then I'm also a person that will sometimes second guess myself. So I like the opportunity to go back and make updates and changes along the way if I change my mind about something. So it just empowers users to do whatever they want with the system, and they can use it however is going to work best for them and for whatever objects they have and whatever projects they're working on. We just want users to be really excited and feel really empowered by it.
And not feel constrained with technology or the user interface. Like, I think just making sure that it's just so, I think that's the point, right? Just making it useful.
Absolutely. And I think Jonathan in the chat really nailed it, saying that this is phenomenal.
Oh. I didn't see that.
Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I know you actually, I think, already answered this question, but incorporating user feedback in your development process. You touched on it. Can we talk a little bit about, what that looks like or what that experience has been like so far?
Yeah, it's usually just someone saying, hey, I can't do this. And we're like, oh, well, let's see if we can do that. And then we do it. That's usually the way it works.
And Jason can turn things around like remarkably fast, and they sort of stick in his brain, and then he goes.
I can't. If you mention it, the likelihood that I'm going to build it is really high. But obviously, if it's going to benefit the system, of course, and if it's something we have on the roadmap, then if there are questions, then it's going to be expedited. But usually, it's just just a random question through either the form on the roadmap, or just a straight up email, because you can email us directly too if you need to talk about things, and we'll help with blueprints or whatever issue you have. And if there's something sticking and you want that feature and it's there, then I'll probably just build it.
So we did introduce a light mode option, and that was based on a user suggestion. So so I didn't know. It was all dark, by the way, the UI, but there is a light mode. I think we called them, what is it, Moonlight and Dark Side. So we were in Dark Side the whole time, but you can go to Moonlight, and it's a lighter, brighter way to work. But but that's one thing. I prefer the Dark Side.
So cool. Well, we are out of time, and it looks like we've caught up on all the questions. Thank you guys so much for coming on and talking about your system. This has been so great, and a fantastic presentation, as folks have said in the chat. Thank you everyone who's attended and asked fantastic questions as well. We're always looking for new speakers. So if you have a cool collections project or a great learning experience that you'd love to share on the series, please feel free to reach out to me. If you're interested in watching past webinars we've had on our Dreaming of a New Collections Management System webinar series, please check out our YouTube channel. Next month, we'll be back with another webinar in our Dreaming of AI webinar series with Mark Osterman at the Wolfsonian. Please feel free to check that out if that's of interest to you. Thank you again, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.